Hello, welcome to Game On the day of the big decision. A decision that will have a massive impact on our immediate future. A decision that is entirely in our hands. Yes, good people of Britain and beyond, the time has come to stand up and speak out. To follow your head and your heart. To weigh up the arguments and make the ultimate choice. English breakfast or Earl Grey? Earl Grey, I think a nice Earl Grey. Delicious.
Coming up this week...
Johnny finally checks the profile picture of the girl he's been flirting with online.
Oh, Nathaniel gets physically assaulted by a professional fighting machine.
And somebody says something about sport we don't understand.
Will it know if I've got a taste for hitting it over cow corner?
Yeah, absolutely.
Will it know?
We've been making fun of his name ever since it was announced, but really, we feel quite sorry for Alan Wake.
Yeah, all he really wanted to do was get over his writer's block with a relaxing break in Bright Falls.
Unfortunately for Big Al, Bright Falls turned out to be about as relaxing as an evening with Kratos.
I will have my revenge!
Eager to empathise with poor old Alan, we packed Johnny off to a remote location to review the game and see what it's like to be a Wake.
Okay, so welcome to Brocket Hall. This is my room. I'm told it's the George V room, if anyone cares. Nice chair there, bed. Obviously you saw that, won't be using that much. Here I am. Hello. And of course here is where I will be spending the vast majority of my night.
For those not in the know, Alan Wake follows the story of a writer who has been unable to pen anything new for 2 years. While taking a holiday to try and relax, his wife goes missing, and he realises a horror novel he can't remember writing is coming true before his very eyes. As he tries to find his wife, he encounters pages of the manuscript that predict future events, building tension in a truly unique fashion. So night has fallen here at Brocket Hall. We just got put through the Alan Wake experience, which basically involved a man chasing me through the woods with an axe, which was lovely. It's just me and the Xbox from here on out. I've got my stopwatch here, so we can tell for exactly how long I managed to be awake. So I've been awake for about 45 minutes now. I've just completed the first chapter and reached my first previously on Alan Wake segment. Already I can say this is honestly the most cinematic game I've played in years. It looks fantastic, it's framed really nicely, the audio's great as well, though the lip syncing leaves quite a bit to be desired.
I thought we could be happy here.
The plot's really engrossing, though some of the references they throw in can be a little bit heavy-handed at times. Alan's constant authorial voiceover is, well, it's grating on me a little bit right now, though I'm starting to get used to it, so we'll see how that goes in the next hour. Alan Wake's gameplay works around the mechanics of darkness and light. Before you can hurt any of your foes invincible in the darkness, you have to stun them by using a torch, flashbang or flare gun. Only then can you start pumping them full of lead. Not using your gun until the very last second is really counterintuitive, adding to the tension and making each encounter with the enemy a nail-biting experience. Oh. I've got to say, like I was saying, as somebody that loved the Max Payne games when I was a kid, they've really managed to create that same kind of immersive, story-driven experience, which is quite surprising at points. So ultimately, what can we conclude about Alan Wake? Well, it was certainly an ambitious project, both in terms of the gameplay and crafting a cinematic experience, and for the most part it's done a brilliant job. This game is everything Alone in the Dark should have been. I feel like I could go on about it for hours, but to be honest, I've been awake for about 5, and I'd quite like to be Alan's sleep now, so good night.
While Johnny was fannying about in the woods getting scared by bright lights, I was getting ready to throw down with some of the hardest men in the world.
What, Danny Dyer and Ross Kemp?
No, Johnny, not Danny Dyer and Ross Kemp. The double hard bar stewards that participate in the mixed martial arts fighting tournament we call the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Not really a tournament then, is it? It's a championship.
I said it's a championship.
You said it was a tournament.
I said Ultimate Fighting Championship. Just how do you become an ultimate fighting champion? Years of training, extreme discipline, the purchase of a very small pair of shorts. Or you could just skip all that and buy UFC 2010, out soon on the Xbox 360, PS3 or PSP. Thank you.
So, you want to be a fighter?
This is how.
Every day, every moment. It's about the fight.
It's pretty intense, pretty brutal. The feeling of playing the game is very similar to how I imagine the actual feeling of being an ultimate fighter is. Scared for my life, or at least in danger of sustaining a serious injury, I put the controller down and went to speak to the evil genius behind the brutal game. So you said this is as real as it gets. How real can a video game be? How close can it be to recreating the experience of UFC?
Well, I mean, mixed martial arts is a very dynamic and complex sport. Making an MMA game is hard, and this year there were a lot of things that we sought out to do that, you know, to really kind of deliver on that promise again. You know, obvious submissions like the southpaw, sways and leans, cage positions. We've added a ton of new submissions. I think you see the game just play a lot more fluidly. There's a lot more animations. I mean, as far as stats go, we quadrupled the number of strikes in the game, tripled the number of ground animations, doubled the number of submissions. So there was the host of improvements went into kind of replicating this brand and this sport and encapsulating that on a controller, which is you know, I think it's an inherently challenging thing to do. There's so much nuance with the sport itself, but you know, everything that makes the UFC spectacle what it is, you know, we aim to put in the game.
THQ's franchise has taken off, frankly, beyond all expectations. Flawed though the first game was, it sold faster than French fries at Fat Camp, and the much improved Undisputed 2010 is set to better that success. Also at the event were some actual real-life double-hard Ultimate Fighters, to whom I was able to put all the crucial questions. Kittens or puppies?
Puppies. Puppies. Don't mind.
Yeah, it turns out they hadn't really played the game that much, so after a few awkward exchanges, we called it a day and they put me in a headlock instead.
It's a choke, it is, yeah. So if you didn't tap, you'd end up going to sleep. Okay. Or it's either tap or you go to sleep. So you probably wouldn't tap right. But it's not going to air, it just chokes you.
If I don't tap.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I reckon you're tapping.
I just started by tapping it. Just went with the teeth.
You can't tap straight to it. Do that.
Don't give it another go. What would you want to give it another go for?
Alright, you can't tap straight to it.
Yeah, you're going to break my neck.
Alright, look, I've got all the hands anyway. Tap. Yeah. See, you felt it that time.
Yeah, I felt it. Okay. I felt it. Ooh. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a lesson learned.
No problem.
Yeah, a newfound respect. Not that I didn't have it before.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, boys. Medal of Honor has been bringing the harsh realities of World War II to consoles since 1999 and truly putting the fascist bashing into first-person shooter.
But there is no fascist bashing in first person.
Fascist bashing.
What?
Putting the fascist bashing into first-person shooter fascist bashing. That works.
We're Rangers. This is what we do.
But after a career spanning longer than the war itself, Medal of Honor has recoloured its roots.
A bit like Paris Hilton.
And attempted to rebrand itself as something modern, edgy and exciting.
A bit like Zac Efron. This brand new trailer footage shows us a bit more of the reimagined series, whose focus is entirely on realism, modern weapons, tactics and Hold on, are you getting a bit of...
Deja vu, yeah, I was just going to say, I
definitely.
swear we did the script back in November.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously no game aimed at bringing combat into the 21st century is going to sneak by without someone hitting the Modern Warfare 2 panic button.
Oh, is that what it was? That big thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I thought it was the light switch.
You thought the giant red button that said Modern Warfare 2 panic button was a light switch because...
Lights.
No, the light... You know how the lights work in here.
Hey, honey, it's me.
Of course we're not saying EA have copied Activision in any way. It is nonetheless interesting to see them announce a reboot of one of their biggest franchises just months after the elephant-sized success of Modern Warfare 2.
Call of Duty fans will no doubt be screaming from the rooftops that Medal of Honor is just a wannabe, but are they right, or are they simply sniping up the wrong tree?
In the north, hundreds of miles away. Our gear's collecting dust. It's just mud and bugs down here.
When you look at how Modern Warfare 2 did compared to the previous Call of Duty title, World at War,
i.e. a bazillion times better,
you could naturally conclude people just aren't that fussed with World War II games anymore. At the same time, Middle Eastern conflicts are simply more relevant to today's gamers. A lot of them grew up with war in the Middle East on the TV and the threat of global terrorism ringing in their ears.
Even ignoring what's hot right now, interest in World War II titles simply seems to be dying off. Medal of Honor was pretty much the only franchise still going at it, unless you count Wolfenstein.
Which you can't really, because that's souped up with more freaky occultist stuff than the annual Satanists' barn dance.
That was held in Kidderminster last year, wasn't it?
St Ives.
Ah.
So, are EA modernising Medal of Honor just because they fancied shaking up the franchise a bit, or have they been copying Activision's homework?
We'll never be able to say for sure, but the most important thing is there's enough evidence on either side of the argument to keep gamers quibbling for hours.
Get down!
We've never understood the appeal of cricket here at Game On. A bunch of men standing around in a field, occasionally playing with their balls. Not for us the makings of a scintillating gaming experience.
Still, International Cricket 2010 is out on June 18th, and the good people at Codemasters kindly offered us a hands-on preview.
Unfortunately, I was busy watching some quite important paint dry, but fortunately for us, there are people in the office that like nothing more than the sound of leather on willow.
And cricket games.
Over to you, Ed.
So Ed, I believe you're a fan of cricket games.
Yeah. Brian Lara cricket mainly. Too much time playing that at my time. The EA version and the more recent Ashes game as well I played a bit.
Essentially this is Brian Lara but updated, and then last year it was the Ashes version. We've made quite a few improvements on last year as well. The main thing being, as you can see, the camera angle. So now instead of playing from that kind of TV angle, the broadcast TV camera, you play from a third person perspective, so it really changes the way the game plays.
Oh!
Ooh.
Right, so it's fully up to date on all the players
Yeah,
as well?
absolutely, yeah. We're fully licensed by the ECB and Cricket Australia as well, so all the likenesses, the player names, the kits.
Okay.
It's nicely
There
played.
we go, there we go. Is it intuitive? Will it know if if I've got a taste for hitting it over cow corner?
Yeah, absolutely.
Will it know?
If you play the same shot 2 or 3 times,
It'll
yeah,
change.
it will change the field. Nicely played. So what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? I like it. I like the playability. It's easy to pick up. I could sit here all day playing this game. I haven't had a go at the bowling yet, but that doesn't really bother me because I don't really like bowling in real life either. I don't know about the new stats and whether they're all necessary, whether how much people use those, whether people will really use Hawkeye and stuff and this kind of thing. But yeah, if I could, I'd take it home with me, but I can't.
Excellent.
Step into the action with International Cricket 2010.
Oh.
That's it for this week. We're off to cast our vote for the Monster Raving Gaming Party.
More gaming gerbils next week.
Tick, 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 tick.
Boom. Don't put that in the outtakes. So I'm going to sneeze again. That can probably be voiced.